There's a sequence, there's a code, there's a combination. And when you get the right combination, it unlocks everything for us. What's up, Tricia Turner?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Doing good.
Heck
yeah. Rocking and rolling as always.
No other way. That's what we do.
That's it. So appreciate you jumping in, hanging out a little bit with us this morning. And, we've gone through some iterations on kind of the podcast. I mean, really officially just kind of launching the podcast this year. Although we've had some different kind of series over the last couple of years, which you've graciously have jumped in and hung out with us, either expert mentors, or last year we ran through the series of coffee and coaching, and really just shifting it over to the Coach Code podcast. And what I love about this format, just having conversation with amazing human beings, and just kind of sharing some things to help people tuning in to help them kind of connect the dots.
Yeah, I love it.
Either in their business, their life, their fitness, their relationships, just anything that can kind of put things in the right order. And for someone like you who is extremely successful, small business owner, rocking and rolling in Houston, and definitely living a full life. You're more than qualified to dive in and help people connect the dots, to say. So again, welcome. And for people first time to be able to kind of connect with you, what give them a little bit of background, give them a little story.
Awesome. First of all, thanks for having me. If you guys aren't paying attention to John Kitchens, you need to be. I'm just going to say that straight up, because he's the real deal. He's going to help you, shoot you straight. He's, like he just said, right things, right order. Like, I've learned so much from John. I've been in real estate for over 20 years, have a broker's license, got that about 6 or 7 years ago. Worked for every big box company out there prior to getting that. And then the reason getting my broker's license, of course, was to open my own brokerage, because I saw what all these other companies did and didn't do, and definitely wanted to be part of what was going right. Yeah. Because after working at all the big box companies, I am a top producer, always have been, and a hustler. And, when you work at these big box companies, and I'm not going to name names, but y'all know who they are, there's like 300 or 400 people a lot of times in their market center, but really only 20 of them are actually selling houses. And so when you become part of that 20 that's actually selling houses, and then you start selling more than those 20, you kind of become the black sheep. Then they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to hang out with you. And the last thing they want to do is help you succeed. And so that was a problem for me. And so that was one of the reasons in getting my broker's license, because it was like, I don't fit in these companies, for one, because I'm never satisfied. I'm always building. And so when I got my broker's license, opened my own office, had 50 agents within the first 6 months. And that was like the first reality of, holy crap, these people really don't sell houses. Like, I'm doing 1099s that first year, and they're making $18,000, $22,000. And I'm like, how do they survive? And of my 50 agents, there was only like 8 that really made over $75,000, and only 2 that made over 100 outside of me. And it was like, that's a problem. And so after that first year of being in business, I realized how frustrating it was to own your own brokerage, and it was a money pit. It's like, oh my gosh, it's my own production that's funding this whole company. This is not the way it should be. And then it was like, these agents aren't doing anything that I'm teaching them. And so then it became a passion, which is on my wall, to like train these people. How can I help them sell houses? Because they're not going to survive in any market. And so fast forward 3, I've now been with EXP. We switched over after 2 years of only being an independent brokerage, and became a mega team within EXP, got out of the independent brokerage business, and only moved about 20 agents with me over and created a team. And again, it was like rebuilding again, pretty much a brokerage within a brokerage, because it was like, okay, I just walked away from a company where I was this is my company. I was at 100%. All the money coming in was mine. And then I moved to a model where I'm not the only owner, and I'm on a split. And, so it was like the whole learning curve again. And you and I did it together, because I was coaching with you. And so we walked through it together, but there was like areas where it was like, holy crap, like, how do we do this? And we did this wrong. We so did this wrong. I wish we could turn back the clock and do things differently. And so there was like 6 months of kind of a dark area where it was like, I took my own, I cut my own income in half
Yeah.
overnight without really thinking about it. It was like, wow, that didn't work the way that it should have. So then it was like, okay, we got to pivot. We got to do something differently. And that's when you and I were like, okay, well, what can we do differently? And again, it was like super crystal clear on right things, right order, and how do we build this, and where does it go from here, and how does it become more profitable, and then how do you scale it from there? And so now it's been 3.5 years, and we will do, we're on pace to do 400 deals this year, 135 million in sales, and those are big numbers. And again, I'm still in production, which is not the goal. The goal is to get me out of production this year. But through all of that, like, I'm in constant learner mode. And I believe, like, since COVID, especially when you kind of look back at it, when COVID hit and it put like events on hold, nobody could travel, nobody could do anything. You saw all these virtual things being launched. And the next thing you know, everyone's a life coach and everyone's a real estate coach, and the coaching business is just out of control. And it's like, if you're not careful who you're paying attention to, you're going to get sucked down every rabbit hole out there. This is only $500 and this is only $200. And this shiny object is going to help you get more leads. And this one's going to help you grow your business. And it's like, all that stuff can be so distracting and actually take you out of making money.
That's
And
right.
so I got, and it can happen to anybody. And I would say a little bit of that happened to me even last year, because you can get caught up in that cycle of, so and so's doing this, I should be doing that. And so and so's involved in this, well, I should be doing that. And I did a lot of soul searching last year, a whole lot, especially the last quarter. I went through some personal things in my life and that I needed to do, because I got COVID and I ended up super, super sick. And so it just became an awareness of what I liked and didn't like in my own life, my personal life and my business life, and then getting rid of them. It's like, you know what? We're not promised to tomorrow. So I'm going to get rid of these things in my business. I'm going to get rid of these things in my personal life or people. And through all of that, it became even more of an awareness of how critical it is, the people that we surround ourselves with, the people that we pay attention to, and the things that we pay attention to. And you don't have to go out there and do everything that so-and-so is doing. You need to do what makes you successful and what makes you happy, and then go deep with that. And I think so many people right now are caught up in this whirlwind of the who's and keeping up with the Joneses in our real estate world. And if they're not careful, they're going to be irrelevant in the next 12 months because our industry is shifting and disrupting so fast. So
Yeah, and
I know that was a whole mouthful of stuff.
I love it. I love it.
Sorry.
It's the thing though, a couple things that I want to go down the rabbit hole on. We'll get to the things should have done differently with the business transition, especially going from independent to kind of letting go and structure.
Oh, yeah.
But you did say something in there that I have a belief. I believe it's so easy to get a real estate license, and yet, the only thing easier than that is saying you're a coach.
I believe that too.
And it's just one of the things that just gets thrown out there loosely, and just because you can sell several $100 million worth of volume of real estate doesn't mean you're qualified to be a coach.
No.
And so I'm with you. You have to pay attention. I had the opportunity. I was out in Columbia, South Carolina, for a re-up event with Jacob Barnhill and Noah Harris. And, one of the questions came up, how do you go about finding a coach? And I was like, that's a great question. And, you have to look at, okay, first and foremost, and this is the thing, Trish, we talk about this all the time, right? It's like, you better make sure your values align.
Oh, yeah.
First and foremost. That's with your team. That's with the people, like you said, right? It's really important who you surround yourself with and who you allow into your circle, but you better make sure that there's some value alignment there. And then somebody, they're like, well, is that it? No, that's not it. You need to also make sure that they have the tools to be able to help you solve whatever it is you're trying to solve.
Yep.
Then I would say, do they have the connections you need to help you accelerate not only your business, but accelerate your life?
Oh, yeah.
And then finally, just freaking look all over social media. What are they doing? Are they out there? Are they impacting people? Are they adding value? What are people saying about them? That's kind of my four box checklist of vetting out, looking for a coach, right? First and foremost, you better be problem aware.
Oh yeah.
And there's so many people that aren't even problem aware. They're just head down, just trudging along. And they don't even know that they have a problem. So one, make sure you're problem aware and know what the problem is. And that, okay, can this person, can this organization, can they help me solve what I'm trying to solve? And you got to go through that process, right? And sometimes people make decisions. You know me, I'm not a believer that you commit and figure it out. I'm a believer of figure out what you want and then are you willing to commit to it?
Yep.
And so that's super, super key. And, obviously kind of passionate about it with, just people, hey, I'm going to coach with this person. Like, is that person going to be able to really help you solve what you're trying to solve? Do you know what you're trying to solve
Yes.
first?
Yeah.
And getting clear on that path.
When you say that, and again, y'all, I've known John for years and I've learned so much from John when he talks about like finding a coach. And again, there are so many people out there that are now life coaches and real estate coaches. But I even said this. So we do a lot of events, a lot of local events. We travel, we do a lot of events. And the goal is with the events is to help agents. Number one, when I was a single agent, before I was ever a broker or anything, I was a single mom as well. I went through a divorce. I went through the mortgage crash. I was even a lender for 6 years during the mortgage crash. And I went through a divorce during that same time in 08. And my ex-husband didn't ever help financially with my kids. I have 3 kids and never helped with anything. And so when I went through that industry crash and then let go of my lender's license, I went back into real estate sales and just dug in head first and was like just every day hustling, every day, no days off ever. And nobody ever helped me. No one ever gave me a lead. No one ever said, hey, try this. Hey, do this. Hey, talk to these people. Nobody. It was like, she's just hustling. And so for me, it was a struggle for that first year. But I had 3 kids I had to feed, I had bills I had to pay, and I had to make it happen. So I did. And so because of all of that, and that was in 2011, and because of all that I went through, I had to live on credit cards and buy groceries on credit cards. I have a passion for that underdog that people don't want to help, and that they have the grit and they have the willpower and they have the drive. They just need direction and guidance. And so when there's people out there misguiding others, coaches misguiding others and slinging that word coach around, I really have a distaste for that and a disrespect for that, because there are people like me in 2011 that would have fallen for that and did fall for that and spent thousands of dollars on things that didn't help and things that didn't matter and people that didn't help and people that didn't matter. And it was really honestly, and I met Jay and Mike in 2017, and that's when I was introduced to you, and that changed my life. And for that, I'm forever grateful, because that opened up the real world of real coaching, real people that are making a difference. Then their real passion is to help agents build a better life. They build better agents and then they build better lives. And I believe that when you go deep with people that are in alignment, just like you just said, then you can do so much more and be so much more impactful. And I think it's a disservice if we, you and I, and people like us in our circle don't get out there and tell people and have a voice. Like, stop following those people. Have they done what you're trying to do? They can't help you get to where you're trying to go. They've never been there themselves. How can they help you? But so many people don't look at that. They just see, well, so-and-so is following on YouTube and so-and-so is their friend on Facebook. It's like, who gives a crap? Like, go deep, go see what they've actually accomplished in their life and make sure that they have that connection like you were just talking about. But then what are their core values? Like, what really are they there to really help you succeed? Like in our industry here, in our organization here, we've refined our core values. And we just did it in January of this year because it became crystal clear. And again, I learned this from you, was like, you told me years ago, you have to sit down, Tricia, and you got to figure out, well, what do you want your life to look like? 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years from now? Have you ever really looked at 10 years from now? What do you want that to look like? And then you got to reverse engineer it. Okay, if this is what I want my life to look like, even 12 months from now, then what do I want the perfect week to look like? And what do I want my perfect day to look like? And you are the one that made me do that. And we sat down with our strategy thing and our clarity, getting clarity on what we want our life to look like. And that's what I teach here in my office. And so when we did all of that, it refined our core values even more. And so we use the acronym CARES. And our number one core value is coachable. If you're not coachable, we don't want you. We don't even want to be around you, because number one, you're a cancer to the organization.
Explain what that means. Explain what coachable means.
Totally. So coachable in our world is like we're always in learner mode. Just like Michael Reese believes there's a solution for every problem. We believe that anything that
Always.
you don't know, you can learn for sure.
Yep.
It's a skill. It's something you haven't learned, and you've got to be in learner mode. And if you come into our organization and you're not in learner mode and you think you know everything and you're going to one up everybody, then you're not a good fit for us.
Nope.
Because I'm always seeking. I start every day seeking. I start every day in learner mode. I'm listening to podcasts every single morning while I'm getting ready. I'm reading every single day to help my mind. And so if I'm doing that, I expect that the same thing from other people. And I'm not going to respect anybody that doesn't live like that. And I don't want to be around people that don't live like that. That's such a core fit for us. And then A for us is accountable. Like if you said that you were going to go on 10 appointments this week and you scheduled 10, then did you go on 10? If you told these people you were going to meet them at 5 o'clock, did you do that? Like if you say you're going to do something, do it. And I'm not going to sit here and have to babysit you and micromanage you. I want to be around adults, because if I say I'm going to go open an office, you can count on that. I'm going to make it happen. And so we expect that. So accountable is our A, and then our R is relentless. Like if you are not relentless, because I am, like clearly I have a lot of energy and I don't stop. Like I have 3 kids and I got agents I got to take care of. So I am relentless, and it's every day is a hustle for me. And I expect the same back. You know, I'm not going to respect you when you're only working 20 hours a week, yet you want to be successful. When I'm out there in the trenches every day, you got to be relentless in this industry. And so for us, that's a huge one. And then E for us is enthusiastic. You got to have energy, because when you're around people, whether it's a buyer, a seller, an agent, whoever it is, you think about when you get around people and there's this monotone or they got no energy or they complain. I don't know about you, but that like sucks the life out of me, and I can't be around them. And it shows like research, that the most enthusiastic and energetic people are the most successful people. People want to be around them. It's infectious, and so we expect that. And then our S is self-discipline. If you're not self-disciplined, I really have no respect for you, because there's no one that's going to make it happen for you other than you. We're going to give you every tool, system, script, everything you can possibly say. Schedule, we got the whole schedule written out for you. But you got to be self-disciplined to get up every day and make it happen. And if you're not, then I'm just super zero tolerance on that. I don't respect it. I just don't. Because, in the real estate industry, you can make a crap ton of money. It's up to you. There is no ceiling, but you have to do the work. And so many people, I think, get into this industry and expect everything to be handed to them, and they're entitled to this, and they don't want to get up at 4 a.m. They don't want to get up at even at 7. And it's like, if you look at studies, market research shows that most billionaires beat the sun up. They're up before the sun. They work out every day. They have a schedule, and they live by a structure, and they're self-disciplined, and they make a crap ton of money. But if you don't have those core values in our organization, then you're just not a good fit. And it's just super simple.
100%. My buddy had text podcast link to me and Sloan. We're a little text thread, and he sent over this short podcast from Rob Dial, the mindset mentor, and it was I went out for a walk in the vest last night, and that was the first thing I put on, and I listened to it, and it was like, hell yes, because what it talks about is that nothing matters if you don't have standards. And essentially we all have standards, but to what level are those standards? And so when I'm hearing you talk about cares, which I love, because care is the glue of leadership. So when you look at as you're building your organization and you're creating this culture, which understand culture is just a collection of your people. And so that's why you have to have values that you hire, fire, train, promote, everything to, because that's the dynamic. Those are the personalities. Those are the people. And that becomes your culture. And what has to happen is that, so I love that, because the glue is care and your core values are cares. And so you're being able to have that, but everything I'm hearing in there, I'm running it through the filter of listening to that podcast episode yesterday evening. And he really broke it down. He's like, we all have standards, and to what extent? And he was giving examples, right? Like, do you eat fast food all the time, or do you eat clean all the time? That's a standard.
Yes.
And do you work out every day, or do you not? That's a standard. and really the direct correlation. And he said, really, what is born from your standards are your habits and your results. And so, we talk about the kind of the results framework of, to get results is driven by our behavior, our habits, which then is driven by how we feel, our emotions, and then which is driven by our beliefs and our thinking, which is then driven by environment. And that's kind of what you said earlier, why it's so important. But I think the overarching thing when you look at that framework is standards. And I remember we were in Vegas Mastermind back in 2013, 2014 in a EA Mastermind. We were in Vegas, and Dan Bunch was on the hot seat, and him and Joel, when Joel was still with him at the time, and he said, man, he just said it, and I caught it, and I was like, holy shit. He said, the only standards you have are the standards you enforce. And that's been one of the things that's on every whiteboard in every office. I write that at the top of every first thing I write. The only standards you have are the standards you enforce. And so listening to that podcast yesterday, I was like, fuck, yes. And so everything I hear about what you're saying is like, it comes down to, right, wherever you want to be world class. And that's just been I've been kind of beating that up a lot lately, is that and I like to keep it simple, right? The happiness triad of health, wealth, and relationships. If you want to be world class in all three of those buckets, amateur behavior, amateur action, amateur habits, amateur thinking is not going to get you world class. It doesn't work that way. So you have to have what then made it click last night is that you have to have world class standards in your health. You have to have world class standards in your business. You've got to have world-class standards in your relationships to have world-class health, wealth, and relationships. That's where it starts. And so everything that your values that you just laid out, I was running it through the standards test. You just have fucking high standards. And you know what? That's what you want. You want people around you that want to embody those standards as well.
And I tell them, the agents, all the time, we do training every Monday morning, and I lead the training. They do systems training for an hour without me, because that's not my strong suit. Is not systems. I'm a visionary.
In my lane.
Don't talk to me about checklists and systems and all that crap. That's someone else's role. So we do that every Monday morning. So then I come in after the systems part of it and talk about sales and mindset and all that. And for them, it's like, I don't expect y'all to be like me, because I don't think, even my kids say it, they're like, you're like a robot. You really are. Like, the minute the alarm is off, it's like go time. There is no downtime. It's like alarm is off. And for my world, it starts at 3:45. So I don't expect for people to be like me, because I know that's not the norm, but I do expect for people to do their best and do the work. Like, you can't get up and do half-ass work and expect to make a good income and expect to change lives. And I think with our industry, it's shifting, and it's shifting so fast, and it's morphing into, like, if you think back on the real estate world, and we've been in it for years, there wasn't that team model like it is now. The team model has it's just morphed since COVID even, and the mega teams are taking over, and the consumer is expecting it. So the consumer is now getting bombarded, with Redfin and Zillow and all the marketing that they do. But the consumer, if you watch and see, and at least in Houston anyway, the consumer doesn't so much want that anymore, because they're also being bombarded with like mega teams like we have, where we're hitting them from every angle with marketing and service, and how do we differentiate ourselves. And if me as the business owner and the leader, if I don't stay ahead of that and stay innovative and grind every single day, we will become irrelevant. I think it's now more critical than ever that we stay on the forefront as leaders, knowing like what to do, how do we do this, how do we stay ahead of the competition, how do we differentiate ourselves. And I think there's so many people that are complacent, and they aren't paying attention to what's happening around them. And if they're leading other agents, I feel sorry for those agents, because they may not be around in 24 months. I mean, things are shifting fast, and the market is intense right now. They call this year survival of the fittest. I believe that. Yeah, I believe 100%. There will be people in lending and sales that'll be gone. And it is what it is. I think our market needs to be thinned out, our industry. But as a leader, people ask me this all the time. They're like, do you ever shut off? Like, every day you're like nonstop. Let's do this. And we're building. And like right now, we just went under contract, and I haven't even said this publicly yet, on a property to purchase, to have our own event center, to move our office. We're paying rent in this place where we've been for over 5 years, you know, it's like $6,000 a month. Like, why are we throwing $6,000 a month away in rent? We're not. We're giving notice today, actually. They don't know it yet, but they're about to. And so it's like, we're making things happen. And, you know, for me, like, people say, how do you get up and do this every day? I have to, because years ago, I raised my hand and I said I would. Well, what if I get weary and I don't feel like doing it? Well, then who does? That leaves nobody out there doing what I said I would do. And so is it a grind? Yes. Do I want to do it every day? Hell no. Every day is a freaking hard thing, but I have to, because I said that I would. And when you look at like people and what they actually are doing and their performance and their track record, there's only 5% of the world that actually are leaders and doing what they said they were going to do. The 95% are followers. So if we're that 5% and we said that we would lead people, we'd help and guide them, then shame on us if we actually don't get up and do it every day, especially when times are tough like they are this year. And I think it's super critical that people are paying attention to who they're paying attention to every single day.
So for you, you know, because we all get to that point where, you know, hey, we've made this commitment, and it's really the courage, but how do we, you know, for you, what's the mechanism? What's the trigger? What's the tool? What is it that you use that gets you into action? What is it for you?
For me, it's never satisfied. A visionary is never satisfied. And so I'm always in build mode. I'm always believing that we can do more and be more. And because it was up to me, you know, in 2010 to make it happen for my kids. And I did. And that was a scary time. It was dark. I was worried. I never made my house payment late, but there was times when I didn't have the money in the bank to cover it. And it literally was just, you know, robbing Paul to pay. It's like just shoveling money around and shifting it around just to cover bills. And that was a horrible feeling. And I don't ever want people to go through what I had to go through. And I believe that God puts me through these things in my life. These, like when we switched over with EXP and went through times where it was like, holy shit, I just accumulated a bunch of debt and didn't even mean to. How did that happen? Yeah. But I think because of all of that adversity and everything I had to go through, it helps me get up every day and be like, I don't want somebody else to have to do that. And I believe that, and it's The Gap in the Gain. You're the one that told me to read that book. You guys, John loves that book. I've read it twice. It is one of my all-time favorite books. You got to read that book. And that book, the first time when I went through it, it was, I realized I get in the gain, or I get in the gap, unfortunately, a lot, because we're never satisfied. It's like, you know, we made this huge accomplishment, and it's like, we just did this, but we don't even sit and relish in that for nothing. It's like, okay, next, what's next? We're gonna do this now. That's good. Okay, good for you. Good. Let's move on. No, we gotta, like, that was a big accomplishment. We gotta sit back for a minute and really embrace what we just did. And for me, that is a challenge, because I always believe that we didn't do enough. Like, dang it, I will focus on what we didn't do instead of what we did do. And that is a challenge for me every single day. And so I think it's because I am my hardest critic on myself. So I'm never satisfied with what I've done. Therefore, every single day, I'm on that relentless pursuit of trying to be a better me. Like, what did I do yesterday that I didn't really like? So I got to redo this today. Today, we're doing more. And today we're going to make this happen. And I'm always seeking to do more and be more, because I want to build this empire. I believe that I can change the world one person at a time, one day at a time. And I want to be around people that think that same way. And I think the more you get up every day and just emulate that and put that out into the world, it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. And people see it and they feel it and they get that energy. And people come up to me all the time. They're like, you probably don't know this, but I watch your stuff every single day and you change my life. I don't say anything. I don't comment. I don't like any of your stuff, but I do expect you to get up every day and do what you do, because you are helping people. And it's that. It's like, holy crap, that is it.
Is it just a constant reminder for you you're just reminded of that every day when you don't feel like it, that alarm goes off? I mean, that also goes back to the self-discipline aspect of things too. But, you know, I just, I think through on certain things as, how do you, cause we never, like you said, you never feel like it. And if you allow your feelings to take over, you'll never take action. but however you get through that feeling is through action. And I'm going back and listening to one of my favorites, Mel Robbins, listening to the 5-second rule.
Yes.
And that's really what it's built around, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's a tool that allows you to take action. And it's real simple, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
Move. Your body
Yes.
has to physically move into action. And I laugh at David Goggins all the time, right? Staring and cussing at his shoes. And, you know, I do the same thing. And cause I know, but one thing I know is that as soon as I start to sweat, that's over. Right. So as fast as I can start to sweat, and, you know, that first quarter mile, that first half mile, sometimes, man, it's like
sucks.
our brain goes into, you know, protective mode. It's like, what are you doing? This hurts. Stop. Don't go. What are you doing? You're an idiot.
Yes.
You can go home now. And you just have to, you have to shut that noise off and keep going. But it's the action. You have to act. You have to get into it. And, you know, it's even the same thing with the alarm. And, you know, if you fall into the rut of hitting snooze, you know, the trick is you just better put that phone on the other side of the room. If that's what I do for your alarm, you have to, because once you're up, and then, you know, how Elrod in the Miracle Morning, you know, one of his things is that you go start brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
Like if you get up and brush your teeth, like you're not going back to bed.
No.
And it's just those little things, but when you don't feel like it, you have to physically act. You have to take action, because if you allow your feelings to stay in place, then you'll never act. And then you'll never.
You know, I think it's expectations too. Like this is, people know the standards that I live by. They know what time I get up. So it's expected of me. And so because I am so hard on myself, if I did ever hit the snooze button or oversleep or something, shame on me. Then I'm really beating myself up. It's like, then I'm a hypocrite, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite ever. Here's something that I just started doing probably 3 months ago, and it's been super impactful. And it really goes back to, again, clarity and awareness, which you are super big on and you talk about all the time. And if you don't realize how many people's lives you're changing, John, you are changing people every single day. There's so many things that I've learned from you and continue to learn from you. And so when you talk about clarity and awareness, when I went through COVID, and we got it in like August of last year, and a bunch of us got it here in the office, and it sucked. But through all that was clarity and awareness. And so I was like, what do I want my life really to look like? And so I did this exercise, and I got it out of a book. And in the book, it said, sit down, do another clarity exercise, sit down on Saturday morning, wherever your quiet time is, whenever you can actually sit and get deep in your soul. And if you could write 3 words that described what you want in your life to look like and how you wanted to feel, 3 words that are aspire to what you aspire to be. Write those 3 words down, and then you set reminders on your phone. And so for me, I have a reminder that goes off because we do a daily huddle every day on Zoom. And so for our organization, I have a reminder that goes off at 8:29, 1 minute before the huddle starts, and it says, bring the joy. And so it's a reminder to me, boom, they're expecting energy at 8:30. That's for me. I could be having a shitty ass morning, but at 8:29, there's an alarm that's going to tell me to bring the joy. So that's my first thing. But my 3 words are peaceful, fulfilled, and excited. So then I have a reminders that will go off about every 4 hours on my phone. And I have them timed. Like for me, 2 to 4 in the afternoon is kind of a slump time because I get up so early. So I'm usually least energetic during that time. So I have one that goes off at 1:50. Then my 3 words, peaceful and excited and fulfilled. And so when I'm challenged with things that I may or may not want to do, or decisions or people that I may be getting involved with in my life, I look at those 3 words. And do I have peace about it? Does it bring me peace? Inner peace. That's where that is. It's inner peace. And am I excited about it? Like, am I excited to work with these people? Am I excited about this project? And then fulfilled. Like, does this feed my soul? Do I get up every day and be like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome? Or do I get up every day and like dread it? Because we got one shot, and Eminem's, that's one of my favorite songs, and I live by that. You get one shot in this lifetime, one opportunity. I mean, one chance. You can't blow it. You can't get a second do-over. We got one shot on this earth. And so for me, it's like those 3 words are what I am going for every single day. And I'm really getting crystal clear on it. It's like, it makes you become a harder, firmer person. Like, I don't want that person in my life. Why? They do not bring me inner peace. They may make us a crap ton of money, but they bring stress and drama and strife, and they make our organization crumble. I don't want them. We can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And so in my personal life, it's like, if they're just sucking the life out of me, or if that thing is in our house and it shouldn't be in our house, and or why am I going to this networking thing when I don't even like these people? Why did I sign up for that to start my day with people that I don't like? Because I thought I had to? Why? Like, I want to be fulfilled every single day. So I think everybody should sit down and come up with their 3 words that they aspire to be, and make yourself a reminder. Because if it's not written, I got whiteboards all over my house, my office, everywhere. If it's not written down, I won't remember it. Out of sight, out of mind. And so when those reminders go off all day long, it's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be peaceful about this. People forget. And it's been super impactful in my life.
That's so awesome. That's a great exercise. I love that. I was jotting down some words and some things that of importance. And, I really got clear on, the why process. Start with why. Simon Sinek, start with why process. And most people don't understand it to the extent was, working through the conversation. In fact, I was on, I think it was Coffee and Coaching. I had Holly on, and she was breaking it down, and I was like, so hold on. So what you're telling me is that it's contribution, so that impact or fulfillment. And I was like, okay, so contribution, essentially what I'm the best in the world at. It's timely because I was going through strategic coach, and we were working on, kind of what our unique ability is.
Yeah.
And finding out what we're the best in the world at. In fact, I had emailed you, the question, what am I the best in the world at? And that's a great exercise for you guys listening in. If you're not clear, email 10 people that you value, that will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Mm-hmm. Five of them will respond. 3 of them will be spot on. And so you do that, and that gives you clarity. And then there's some personality tests. My favorite is the Kolbe with the K, Kolbe index. And then you have your DISC, you have those other tests, and it helps us identify what we're the best in the world at, and so that what gives us the most fulfillment, like what you were saying. And it really helped me, because what I'm the best in the world at is inspiring and challenge people to think bigger, so that they can transform their business and transform their lives. And actually, you have to transform your life before you can transform your business.
Big time.
And so that really brought it all together for me. And then I love, Coach Bert's perspective on it. He loves Simon Sinek, but he likes to give it, he likes to give pushback on it. I know why he's giving pushback on it, because he's trying to make his point, which is, well, what's the because goal?
Yeah.
And one of the things I picked up from Ed Mylett, and I want your take on this. One of the things I picked up from Ed Mylett was, he's like, yeah, because motivation's internal, right? Nobody can motivate us. We're only inspired. We're inspired by whatever.
Yeah.
But motivation comes from within, and there's a lot of internal motivation, that I hear from you. What my take and from Ed, what Ed was saying, and I agree 100%, right? He's like, you got to have that. You got to have the big why. You got to have, that. He said, but really where you find the sustainability is when you are open and real and accept that we're all trying to make somebody proud.
That is so true.
And he said that, you also could have one or the other, right? You're either trying to make somebody proud or you're trying to prove somebody wrong. I believe it's both. I believe you have to have somebody in your life, because we're all doing it. We're just wired that way. We're all trying to make somebody proud, period. Yeah. And it's typically, a parent, somebody that raised us. We're just trying to make them really proud of us. That's sustainability, right? That gives you that long, because you're always mindful of that. But I also believe you have to have an ignition at all times, and you're always trying to prove somebody wrong. What's your thoughts on that?
That's crazy that so I've not been asked that before. So everything that you were saying, I was listening and processing and thinking. So for me, it's kind of changed a little bit. I've lost both my parents now. My dad, I lost my dad with COVID unexpectedly, and so he was one of my best friends and definitely a mentor of mine. He was very successful in his own right, but he was very frugal. Didn't give us anything, so there was no like, here, go do this, never. And so with my kids, because my dad raised us that way, and my parents divorced when I was 11, so my mom raised us really, but because my dad really wasn't there just handing stuff out, I was like, I don't want my kids to ever go without anything. So I unfortunately went the other way, and I'm an enabler. And so I've worked my ass off to take care of my kids and provide a nice life for them. And so that means working long hours and not always being present with them. But now my kids are little young adults. Like my daughter's 19 and my son is 24. And they work in the business with me. And just in the last, since COVID, really, they both have come to me and said, just on their own, we want you to know like how proud of you we are, that we've watched you work so hard. You continue to provide a nice life for us. And if no one's ever told you that, you make us very proud. That is one of my whys every single day. It's like, wow, that meant the world to me. And so now I want them to be prouder. Like I don't want to fail them. And then the other thing is, because as you get more successful and you do more things and you get around more people, you do get a lot of haters. And so I have haters here in Houston, and I hear the chatter and I hear the stuff that gets said about me, and it doesn't affect me at all. It rolls right off. I have very thick skin. I actually think it's funny because it fuels me. It fuels
They
me to
don't
want
know
to go and
you.
do
That's
more.
that's what the funny shit is right? There's like they're talking shit. They don't even know you, right? If they knew you, they would never talk shit. That's what I
Right.
love about haters. They just don't know you.
No, but it's like, okay, I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you just did that, because guess what? We're going to go buy a building and we're going to go freaking do so many events that you can't stop seeing us, So it's that stuff. So yes, I believe that yes, you do have people that you want to make proud, but then you also have people that you want to be like, yeah, let me show you now,
Yep.
because that feels good too.
And I believe you've got to embrace them both. I
Oh, you
really,
do.
really do. I don't think it's one or the other. I believe it's both at my core.
Me too.
It's funny you said that about the kids. So, my daughter is getting ready to graduate. She's going to the University of Oklahoma next year, so she's going to be real close to me. And
Yeah.
she was joking. She's like, "Yeah, Dad, I'll see you all the time because I'm gonna have to get my laundry done." So I laughed. I was like, "Hey, you always got a bed here." And
Heck yeah.
so I asked her, where I was just in conversation. I was like, "Hey, so what are you going to do for work? How are you going to get some extra, spending money and stuff?" She goes, "I don't know. I'm going to have to find a job or whatever." And I said, "Well, if we could figure out something, would you want to work with me?"
Hmm.
And she said, "I would absolutely love that." And it was just one of
It's
those
so
moments. It was like, because we talk about, it's one of my questions I always challenge leaders with is that, are you building an organization that you would want your kids to be a part of? Would your kids want to be a part of it?
oh yeah.
And just her, because I've thought about that, like trying to figure out what is she going to do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want her to go to school unless she's going to do something that's going to give her a degree to help her with the
For
future in her
sure.
life. Because I mean, we all know. I mean, I don't want her to acquire any debt that is like worthless, bad debt
Right.
that she's never going to utilize anything with in the future. It's the dumbest shit ever.
It is.
And so I was always kind of in the back of my mind, man, I would love for her to find a way and for us to work together. And then when she said that, it was just like one of those, like, I'm not crying over here, it's just like one of those moments. And
It's a feel
so
good moment.
that's a great filter to run things through. Are you
It
building an
is.
organization that your kids would be honored and be proud to be a part of?
It is. And then if you really believe, and I tell people this all the time, if you really believe in your soul, and for me, when I got my broker's license, that was the reason that I did it, was that I really believe in my soul that I am the best option for them here locally. There's people that will take advantage of people and misguide them, and I won't. I'm so transparent. But if you really believe in your soul as a business owner and a leader that you are making a difference and you're changing lives, it's super easy then to get up every day and do those things that you do, because it's not a job, it's what you love, and it's what sets your soul on fire. And I
Yeah.
think when you have your family involved in your organization, like if you get your daughter involved, it's a game changer, John, because with my kids involved now, it makes it even more worthwhile. And, we put an offer on this building and we got it. And so now we're in inspection mode today, actually, after I get off here. And so my daughter said to me the other day, because we have a staging company too. And so now we're going to have an event center. And my daughter said, my daughter works in the staging company. So that's kind of her role. And so she said, so when we get this event center, like, can I be more involved in the company? And I said, like, what do you want to be involved with? You want to be involved with more staging or do you want to do the event center? And she's like, I want to do more. I want to be involved in the event center. And I was like, heck yes, you can. And that's a great feeling. Like they want more, they
Yeah.
too want more. And it's so cool.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
So happy for you.
Thank you.
Trish, so we were kind of talking about going through things and obviously always trying to help people connect the dots so that they can see the connections in their life and wisdom, I believe, is learning from others. And so being able to create a level of wisdom and knowledge to make better choices.
Yeah.
You talked about, from a business standpoint that, hey, we're always learning lessons. Wish we would have done it different. When we transitioned over to EXP, I mean, we fumbled on a couple things as well that I wish we could go back and change for sure. And, we messed it up with Alex together because, I love him. I mean, he's one of my dearest friends on the planet, and we've always wanted to do things together. And it's like, man, shit, I wish we were aligned. We're not, we messed up. So
yeah,
that's just an example, but you were talking about, from a business standpoint, transitioning, with all the big box to independent to aligning in with EXP. Like, what are some of the things that, if you could go back, kind of talking to people out there, like, hey, if you're transitioning your business, don't do this. Hey, make sure you're thinking about this the right way. What are some of those things that people should be thinking about?
Definitely for independent brokers out there. When you're an independent broker, you're the owner, you're the game changer in your company. You're pretty much captain everything. And when you look at those companies, most of them are not very profitable, and they are super. Everything is relatable to transactions. Like they're all in on transactions. So in a market right now where some of the agents, half the agents in the industry aren't even selling houses because there's no inventory, as a business owner and independent, that can hurt you substantially. Like you got to have people in there that actually are selling homes to be profitable. And so for me, stepping out of that role, because I was the top producer in my own independent company, and then I took some of the top producers with me. But then when I moved over into the team model, well, I wasn't then at 100% right from go. And so really, I didn't have systems in place. I didn't know what that needed to look like before we made the switch. It was pretty much, we got to the edge of the cliff and we were like, all right, jump, not knowing, like, is it shallow down there? Like, where are we about to land on? And we jumped and we hit some rocks for sure. And it was like, oh, that hurt. Holy crap. We were like sinking right now.
Scares the shit out of you too.
So for me, like, and I tell people all the time, EXP is like the greatest company in the world. I wouldn't have left my own company if I didn't believe that. And I look back now and I'm so thankful that I aligned with, Jay and Mike and you, because had I not known y'all and I would have stumbled into just any random person within EXP, I may not be doing the things that I'm doing right now, because who you have in your life matters. Who you surround yourself with matters, because in every organization, big and little, there's bad seeds in all of them. That's just life. But in our organization and our group, like, we're surrounded with the top of the top people in the industry, and we collaborate every single day. And I tell people all the time when I talk to them about switching over from independent to EXP, I'm like, look, I can promise you the moon and the sun and everything, and I will give that stuff to you. Don't be swayed by people that make those promises that are not going to be able to deliver, because who you align yourself with matters. You can't ever change it. And you can't go back and be like, oh gosh, I made such a big mistake. You got to go with people that actually have made the mistakes and know how to walk through them. And then we'll actually tell you, don't do this. Like I have brokers in here with me all the time and I share everything with them. We've built out training. We've got online. We have everything built out now because those were things that mattered and we didn't have it. And that was some of the very hardest things was building that stuff out. And so when we hired Paul a year ago, he's our integrator. And so it's been a game changer. And knowing that stuff, like the accountability chart and the org chart and the EOS model and like traction and just knowing what to do and surrounding yourself with the people that are help guide you has changed my life and my business forever. And then we do it in exchange. So we do it for everybody that comes in here. We're like, here, I gave them yesterday login information to everything that we've created. Why would I not? They are not a competitor. They're a collaborator. And that's been the biggest game changer.
I love what you just said right there. And it just made me think one of the mentors that just kind of paying attention in what he's doing, right, is that you can make jumps, but sometimes you've got to pause for a second and build a better foundation to make a bigger leap.
Yes.
And it's like, squatting down a little bit to jump higher. And that's what you're doing. And so if you guys like everything that Tricia had just said, right? Implementing the systems and the foundation and the framework and getting the right who's. And so I believe in that so much that I made the investment because I can do so much on my own. You can only get here, right? But if you have bigger vision, bigger plans, a bigger future, then you've got to be able to make sure that you're building a foundation with a springboard to propel you faster. And so like I spent the last 4 months just building the foundation. Right. And so it's like we're about to jump, but you can't make that jump if you don't have the foundation to spring from. And so it's essentially, building, on, when I came back from California, to work with my buddies, really they had a construction company. We did rough frame and finish out for a lot of the franchise restaurants, the Applebee's, the Chili's, the Bone Daddies. You think through. We had a nationwide contract and we traveled all over, executing on those restaurants. But the name of the company was On the Rock, and I don't know why they named it. Like, definitely not a Christian-based organization. It was a complete misalignment. It was a complete misalignment. They messed that up. But if you go back and you look at, I believe, whatever Matthew, whatever the verse is, but it's essentially, you can either build your house on solid foundation or you can build it on sand. And what happens when you build it on sand? And that's what I see a lot of business owners. They don't make the decision to build their house, build their business, build their life on a strong foundation. They're building it on sand. And it's just a matter of time, right? The tide comes in, strong wind blows through and it crumbles. And we see it all the time. You see it in your agents' lives. And it's really important to make sure that whatever you're building on a solid foundation.
Well, and like for me, again, because my kids are now involved in the company, I tell people all the time, like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm only planning on getting bigger and doing more and expanding. So when you have a vision like that and you have a big vision, then you are constantly building, but it's critical that you have that foundation like you just talked about, because if you don't, and you don't build it right, you will not be here. You will have it to be rebuilding it in 2 years or 3 years, or you may just be non-existent. And that in itself is scary. So you can't ever allow that stuff to crumble. It has to be solid from go.
It has to be solid. Tricia, you're amazing. You and I can keep going for hours. And, but I definitely appreciate you, value our friendship, and can't thank you enough for jumping in, adding a ton of value as always. I know we'll do it again in the future.
Heck yeah.
And if you guys haven't connected with Tricia, make sure you guys do. All over social media can really connect with her at Tricia Turner Group, and just hit her up everywhere on social media. And let's keep making it happen. Tricia, thank you.
You're welcome. You guys have a great day.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.